You need to improve your listening comprehension to understand more than teachers. You need to understand your colleagues, your manager, your friends, even family. And to do that, you need to avoid the 3 listening mistakes that I'm going to talk about in this English lesson. So stay with me until the end and make sure to subscribe because I'm always posting different kinds of English lessons to help you advance. And listening is part of the journey. Now, that being said, the first mistake, not fully present. And I understand that nowadays we need to multitask. We have so many responsibilities. There are so many things for us to do and think about that it can be really difficult to fully focus on the task of listening to a material in English and really immersing in that moment, in that experience. However, what I notice among students who are struggling and not understanding native speakers, not improving their comprehension, is that they are always doing something while you're listening. They're cooking, working out, driving, texting, checking social media. Sometimes they are reading subtitles. They are listening to the material, but there they are, fully focused on reading the subtitles, which consequently becomes a reading exercise, not a listening one. Now, as I said, I understand that nowadays we're very busy and we have to be at different places at different times. We have responsibilities and work and family and personal activities. However, improving your listening comprehension will require special attention. Your listening practice deserves special attention. You need to take notes. Mistake number 2 is connected to mistake number 1, so stay with me. You need to take notes. You need a proper listening structure. You need a proper listening exercise if you want to better understand native speakers. So simply listening on the go, not fully present, not entirely immersed in the experience, will always make you stuck. And reading the subtitles all the time will create that illusion that your listening comprehension is improving. And then what happens when you have a conference call, when you have a meeting with different kinds of people? There are no subtitles. What happens? Most people tend to panic and feel like their listening comprehension is awful, when in reality, they are just making listening practice mistakes that could be blocking their comprehension. So that is mistake number 1, and you can easily change that by becoming more focused on the exercise ahead of you. And yes, you need an exercise. Nowadays, you can easily find audio sources, videos, TED Talks, streaming services, but that is not the exercise itself. It's only the source. What you do with the material is what is going to be responsible for your listening comprehension to improve or to stay in the same place. Now, mistake number 2, not getting technical. To master your listening comprehension, you need to understand that watching TV series, while watching TV series is great, listening to podcasts, amazing. I love doing that. Watching short videos on social media, spectacular. I love that. You need to understand what your needs are. Do you need English at work? Are you a lawyer? Are you a dentist? Are you a nurse? Are you a business manager? What do you do? What do you work with? Who are the people you talk to the most? And based on your particular needs, then you need to find some sources that get close to your needs. Because quite honestly, I have to be honest, in some situations, it'll be very difficult to find videos on YouTube or TED Talks that are pretty close or exactly what you need. That is not going to happen. But you need to become closer to materials that will provide you with the necessary challenge. Maybe you need more structured conversations that have a higher level of formality. Maybe you need something more casual. Maybe you need to watch more medical terms and explanations and debates and discussions. So you need to be in tune with your particular needs. Otherwise, you will be going around and around in circles. As I said at the beginning, you want to understand more than teachers. You want to understand the people you are surrounded by. And to make that happen, you need to stop making this mistake because it could be blocking your fluency. Listening a lot will not be the answer. And this mistake number 2 is connected with your vocabulary, writing, speaking, reading, and even grammar practice. Your listening and vocabulary must be in alignment with your needs. Another common issue I see in students who study alone is that their vocabulary doesn't level up. As a result, their listening comprehension doesn't level up either. Grammar, same thing. You need to understand that depending on the conversations, the level of the grammar will be more advanced. Therefore, if your grammar work is not catching up, you will find yourself stuck because it'll sound very confusing. So everything is connected, and this will lead me to what you should be doing. Grouping skills. If you want to master your listening, you need to follow an integrated practice. I have some recommendations of combos here. Sometimes you can work on listening, always listening, because here we're talking about listening, vocabulary, and speaking. So that's the combo. So you pick a material and then your target will be on listening, vocabulary, and speaking. On a different occasion, you can work on listening, vocabulary, plus writing. On a different occasion, you can work on listening plus shadowing plus pronunciation. They are different things. Shadowing, you will really try to follow the speaker's intonation and speed. While pronunciation, you're going to target specific words in that material that are more challenging for you. So it's a different kind of work. And all of these things combined will allow you to elevate your listening comprehension, which is why I talked about mistake number 1, which is not being fully present. To do these kinds of exercises, you need to be present, you need to focus, you need to have a space and the time to dedicate to this listening practice, which doesn't have to be very long. In 30 minutes with a proper plan, you can do this exercise and go on about your day, okay? Now, before I move on, make sure to subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend, and if you're interested, I have a very interesting combo. I have my study plan, which will show you in practice how to integrate all the English skills so that you can have a successful action plan for English fluency. Moreover, I have my listening mastery workshop that will show you the 5 bad practices you must avoid and the 5 best practices you should include in your routine if you want to master your listening comprehension. The link is in the description of this video. Check it out. But other than that, let's go to mistake number 3, which is trying to understand all the words. This happens a lot in meetings and presentations when someone interrupts you and wants to know more information, and there you are so focused on getting every single word that what happens when you can't? Because this will happen a lot, more than you imagine. You don't understand a word. What is your immediate reaction? You want to get that word. So you keep going back to that word. You feel guilty and worried that you missed a very important word. But what is going on outside? They kept talking. They kept on going and going. And now you're lost because you didn't understand the previous phrases. You didn't pay attention to what they were saying. And you wasted precious time. This mistake, guys, is really connected to how you study. One thing that I teach my students in my academy, in my courses like the study plan and the listening mastery workshop, is that you need to have different kinds of listening exercises. The most efficient one is to focus on general and detailed practice. You need to condition and teach your brain to focus on general information and detailed information. That's basically, guys, macro and micro pieces of information. Because in a conversation in real world, you need to understand that people talking to you are often giving you macro and micro pieces of information. If you try to get every single word, you will be wasting time. Not to mention that native speakers naturally connect sounds way more than I do as a non-native speaker. They eat up the words. Sometimes they eliminate words altogether because they know how to do that more easily and quickly than us, non-native speakers. Even in a more formal environment, they will link sounds more compared to non-native speakers. So in your practice, you need to include exercises of listening comprehension where you first focus on general, on macro, then you teach your brain to focus on micro listening practice. Macro, general ideas, most important comments, and micro details, specific numbers, specific questions, specific data. And this is exercise. If you want to become more efficient during presentations, during Zoom calls, during job interviews, you need to practice both general and detailed. And the more you include this kind of practice in your plan, the more your listening comprehension will improve, which is my goal with this video. Now, what do? You share this video with a friend and perhaps get my study plan and my listening mastery workshop. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to share it with a friend, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye!